Welcome to The Rainbow Connection. This podcast was designed for mothers who are finding their way through life after loss. Whether you're grieving, trying to conceive again, newly pregnant, or holding hope in your heart for what's to come, this space is for you. Each week you'll hear real and tender stories of love, heartbreak, healing, and the babies who continue to shape us. I'm your host, Kristen Mundy, a mother, doula, and a woman who's walked this path too. May these conversations remind you that you are not alone, that your baby is never forgotten, and that hope and grief can live here together. Trying to conceive after loss is a journey unlike any other, one that deserves a different kind of support. That's exactly why I created Mother Like No Other, a gentle, private community for women navigating trying to conceive after loss. Inside, you'll find real-time support through our Voxer group chat, monthly workshops hosted on Zoom, guest speakers, and guidance from me, an experienced doula who's walked this path too. If you're looking for a space where your angel baby is honored, your fears are held, and your hope is supported, this is it. You can join us for just $22 a month, a low commitment, low pressure way to receive real support on one of the hardest journeys there is. You're free to cancel anytime, but the connection and comfort you're going to find inside, well, that might just be exactly what your heart's been needing. So if you are trying to conceive after loss or thinking about trying to conceive after loss and are wanting to learn more, please head to @the.doula.life on Instagram or www.thedoulalife.ca/motherlikenoother. We aren't meant to journey this path alone, and inside Mother Like No Other, you won't have to. Today's guest on the podcast is MJ Renshaw, and she's not just someone I admire professionally, but she's also one of my nearest and dearest friends, and actually someone I talk to almost every single day. MJ has one of those stories, that just stays with you, and not only because of what she's been through, but because of the way she's turned her pain into wisdom and into leadership and has created something truly beautiful. In our conversation, MJ opens up about growing up being told that she'd likely never have children, the miracle conception that ended in sadly a miscarriage, and the medical discovery that changed everything for her. She takes us into the anxiety and the white-knuckling of her pregnancy after loss, the depths of postpartum OCD, and the radical nervous system work that helped her find safety in her body again. MJ has so much wisdom to share, and this conversation might just include one of those light bulb moments that may change the way you see your own healing. Okay, now let's hear from MJ. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rainbow Connection podcast. I have a really exciting guest today, one of my dearest friends, MJ Renshaw, and I'm really excited to talk to her today. Hi, MJ. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really, really excited. So MJ and I'll tell you a little bit about mine and MJ's story. So I actually found MJ on Instagram. Oh gosh, it was probably like 5 years ago now. And I found her right when Reels first officially came on Instagram, and they were like so new and exciting. I remember finding a reel of MJ's that she did about her father, and I was so moved by it. So I checked out her page, and I saw that MJ had shared recently about a miscarriage that she had. And I remember just being like, oh my God, this is so honest. This is so real. I love this. I love this girl. Because I saw so much of myself in that story, and MJ is actually the one who got me and inspired me to share my first miscarriage openly. So, wow, crazy. And now MJ and I talk literally every single day.
All day.
Every day, all day.
On 2 different apps.
Yeah, on 2 different apps. We got kids the same age. We're in it together, and it's so special to have her on here. MJ today is going to share a little bit more about her story, and she's going to share about her history with fertility and her miscarriage and also her rainbow baby Sunday. But before, we jump into that, MJ, I would love if you could just share a little bit about yourself with our listeners. I'm sure they would love to get to know you better.
I'm just a girl's girl. I like collecting rocks. I like ice cream. Yeah, I live north of Toronto on the lake with my husband and my kids. I always consider Bowie a rainbow baby too because he happened so quickly and accidentally after Sunday. They're just kind of together. Um, and yeah, I am the founder of the Being Method, which is a breathwork certification course, and we have a breathwork subscription. And I'm about to publish a book, or it's probably going to be published by the time this comes out. So this book is being published, and yeah, I'm just trying to have fun and enjoy life. That's me.
MJ is changing the world, you guys. I am so happy to introduce you to her because I know that she'll benefit every single person that listens to this podcast. So,
One thing I'll say is that I definitely am delusional.
why?
My husband and I always talk about our strengths, and his are so obvious. Like, he's amazing at math, he's amazing at cooking, woodworking, like, he's just good at all these things. And I'm kind of like, I don't know what I'm good at. Like, I just don't know. But we've recently kind of narrowed it down to that I just have a pretty big mindset. Like, I believe that a lot of things that might seem impossible are possible. And maybe that's naivete, but it works really well when you're trying to conceive.
Mm,
Especially when you've had doctors tell you that you're not going to be able to.
hmm. I'd love to hear more about that. So why don't that's a perfect place to start. Why don't we talk about how this journey started for you and what those darn doctors were saying to you?
Yeah, those darn doctors. So I never really had periods. That's kind of where my fertility began. When I was 16, I didn't get my first one until I was 16. And then, my next one didn't come for 5 months, and they were very intermittent. I got put on the pill, as they do.
Who
I'm
didn't
putting
back then, right?
air quotes here, guys, if you're listening, to solve it. If anyone doesn't know, it's a fake bleed that you have. It's not your real menstrual cycle. But I don't know why doctors seem to think that that's regulating your menstrual cycle, but that's what they'll do. That's their first kind of line of defense. I didn't do well with the pill. I would puke a lot. So I got off the pill and I just didn't have periods really. I had them maybe like once or twice a year um, until I was 27.
Hmm.
So I didn't go through this period of being like, now I'm infertile. Like, I, from the get-go, didn't think I was going to be able to have kids. They didn't think I was going to be able to have kids. We had no idea why I wasn't having periods. Of course, doctors didn't care at all. They were just like, oh yeah, some people have that. And then I read a book called The Fifth Vital Sign
Hmm.
about how your menstrual cycle is a vital sign for women and it's a sign of your health and that doctors should be considering that. And there's all sorts of studies on, if you're not having regular periods, about osteoporosis, and it's a hormonal issue. And I was like, oh, this is very serious. So I went on a journey then to get my menstrual cycle back and get it regular. And that took forever. And I went down many rabbit holes and I wasn't thinking about fertility at all. Like, I was just like, that was the last thing on my mind. I did not have that much hope. It was just, I'm not going to be able to have kids. Like, that's what it was. I had to have that conversation with my husband. And I ended up getting my period back after about a year and a half of trying. Like, and I tried everything. Like, doctors would be like, well, you're just too skinny, even though I'm not, I'm just a regular size. So I purposefully gained 45 pounds and
Wow.
kept that 45 pounds on for about a year to prove to them
That's not the problem.
that's not the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
They kept being like, I think you're just too stressed out. So I stopped doing anything stressful. I used to run long distances. I stopped doing that. I just did, I just became a Pilates girl and like
Hmm.
lived that like very low key
Zen
life.
energy.
Yeah. It really wasn't until I started to explore like my trauma and my nervous system that things started happening and I got my period back. I think I was just really stuck in like maybe like a freeze trauma state. And when I started to process things and like let myself cry, let myself go back and visit those moments. When I really let myself feel and process all the things that had happened, like if anyone knows what an ACE score is for the adverse childhood effects, like I'm a 10 out of 10. Like dad in and out of jail, he was a drug dealer, like my parents were fighting all the time.
Use shit to process.
Yeah, like sometimes my dad didn't feed us. Like it was like not a good upbringing. Like it wasn't, I did not feel safe. It was not good. And of course, when your body doesn't feel safe, you're not going to make a baby.
No, of course not.
Your brain's going to be like, no baby right
Mhm.
now, not smart. Um, so I ended up getting my menstrual cycle back and then I was tracking it. We had no plans to try because I was terrified to try to have a baby. I had just got it back and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. So obviously I got accidentally pregnant.
Mm.
And Ian and I, my husband now, boyfriend at the time, were, I don't know if ecstatic is the right word, but we were like on cloud nine. Like
Yeah, what did that feel like?
it just felt like a miracle. Like it was a
Mhm.
miracle. Like I was like,
Mhm.
there's no way.
Now, when the doctors were telling you, like, pretty much all throughout your life that you might not ever have children, was that something that felt like devastating to you? Was that something you knew you wanted?
I was never the person that was like, I want to be a mom.
Mm.
That was never, but again, like I was told that pretty much at like 17, 18. So who knows what you want? I wasn't really thinking about kids at that time. I never was given the option. So I didn't really let myself ever hope. But, you know, did I like if I were to remove all the limiting beliefs that I was given, and if you were to honestly ask me, do you picture yourself having kids when you're older? 100% yes. Like
Hmm.
I pictured the white picket fence and my daughter and I have matching horses, like it's that's what I wanted. Um, and, throughout when Ian and I were trying to get my menstrual cycle back, he was dealing with health issues. So we were doing all these meditations. And this is going to sound a little bit out there, but my husband started having visions in his meditations of us at a house, which wasn't where we lived. He was in the backyard on the grass, and I was on a deck with a baby. And he kept telling me this, and I was like, okay, don't give your hopes up.
Yeah.
I'm
Ugh.
here.
Yeah.
Um, but fast forward, 2 years later, I'm on the deck of the house we bought with the baby. So my husband obviously now thinks he's like a prophet.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't get ahead of
he
yourself,
keeps having
Ian.
more. He's like, and we have a third baby and you're pregnant. We're in Mexico. And I'm like,
Can you please envision that I make $1 million
I tell him
today?
that all the time. So my book coming out, New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
Envision that. um, But yeah, I think, it sounds out there, but we were doing like the woo woo stuff. We were trying to manifest healing. And then we got pregnant and it was amazing. And then I remember being at my best friend's birthday party and eating an immense amount of cheese, as you do.
As one does when they're
I was just like
pregnant.
at the table with the sugar, we eating all the cheese. And I remember thinking, oh, I haven't puked in like 5 hours. Rare for me. And then I went and had my, what is it, the 7-week scan? That's when
Just like your dating scan. Yeah.
and I was late because I didn't think it was just like, and it was during the pandemic and blah, 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 blah. So we found out at 12 weeks, the baby's heart had stopped. And that was around the time, like the day before the birthday.
Mm.
Um, and I got the call on my birthday. It was like I'm so lucky that my best friend was there and I wasn't alone. No offense to my mom, she doesn't handle grief well. I was with her, but my best friend was there, and I just remember us hugging and like crying, and she was just right there with me, like bawling. And it broke my heart. Like it just really,
Of
broke my
course
heart,
it
and
did. And doubly too, because it was something
it was a
you were,
miracle.
yeah, you were given a
Every
gift.
child's a miracle, right? But
Yeah.
when you're told for your whole life you're never going to have children, and all of a sudden during the pandemic, you have this like, precious little baby in there.
And like new life being presented to you, really, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was not. And like, yeah. And then I had to wait 24 hours for Ian to come. And then it was just, yeah, it was so not the vibe you want. That was kind of our like introduction to our fertility story, to be honest, after that, I was just like, I'm throwing in the towel. I do not want kids. I don't want to do this. Like, I'd had a friend who had, she'd had 8 miscarriages. And I was just like, her and I had similar issues with our kind of reproductive organs. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I don't think I can. I can't do this heartbreak again. And then, after the miscarriage comes society and their weird way of not holding space for them. I cannot tell you the weird stuff people said to me.
It just makes it a horrible situation so much worse, right?
So much worse. You think that the world is going to be devastated with you because that was your baby. That was my baby. And I was met with people saying things like, oh, it's so common though. Okay, so is losing your dad, but
so is cancer. Like, cancer's common. No.
yeah, it's really weird. One guy told me you should be glad because that baby would have been mentally slow. I don't know what that even, like, first of all, even if he was, I would still have loved him. Like,
yeah, I'm still his mother. Yeah.
Yeah, just all like so much weird stuff. And that that actually was one of the reasons why I posted it, because I was like, there are so many women out here having miscarriages and having to deal with it alone or in private. And that's
because they don't want to expose themselves to people's weirdness, right?
That, but also that there's just so much shame around it.
Totally.
It's just, or it's brushed off as being like not a big deal. So common, they happen. And it felt like a big deal to me. So I posted about it, and I had a lot of annoying people tell me that it was common. And then I had a lot of people share their story back, and I felt a lot less alone. I love that quote where it's like, shame shared is like divided or something. I don't know what it is. But that's one of the essence. It's just like when you share shame in a safe space, it goes away. And that was very true for me. I definitely felt supported and seen by the other people who had experienced it because they knew. And we decided we weren't going to have kids. We bought a house and we moved out of the city, and then bing, bang, boom, 2 accidental children back to back.
So tell me about Sunday. So Sunday is MJ's first baby girl.
That's my baby.
Tell me how that happened and how that was for you guys.
So going back to the terrible doctors, I had an intuition that my miscarriage wasn't supposed to happen. And I know everybody probably thinks that, but I was like, no, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Like, something is wrong. But they were like, no, totally, it just happened. So my husband was dealing with mold toxicity at the time. So we started seeing a functional doctor, and she ran all these labs on him. She ended up finding something called urea mycoplasma or something. Sorry, I'm getting the name wrong, but basically this sounds so gross, but it's when there is mold in your urethra. It can be sexually passed to your partner. It's not an STI. It's just typically when people, it's like candida or something, but it's in your urethra, but it's not candida, it's mold. And she said to him, listen, we have to treat this with antibiotics. It's pretty serious. And we also have to treat your wife. While you guys are going through treatment, you cannot have sex or kiss.
Okay.
I was like, what? Pardon? So I had to go to my doctor and I had to get tested for this. They take a swab and they put it up your urethra.
So fun.
It's so fun. Side effects of having this are miscarriages and stillbirths. So I tested positive, and then I was like, okay, now I know. Now I know there actually was something wrong. Like, and how many women have that and don't know? So, our functional doctor was wonderful. She was like, this is very real. Of course, my GP was kind of brushing it off, being like, so many people have it. They treated me with antibiotics twice. So it ended up being a month that Ian and I could not kiss or have sex.
Wow.
We had sex with a condom because there was a barrier. Like, I'm not doing that.
The true rebel that you are.
Yes. Yeah. But just like one of the frustrations, I was put on the antibiotics for the first round. I went to go back to retest and they said, oh, we don't retest. And they were so adamant about it. Like, we don't retest, you're fine. So I found a private clinic, paid to be retested, still had it. The antibiotics didn't work. So if I had listened to them, I would have just kept having miscarriages and given it back to Ian.
And probably gave up because you'd be like, it's just me.
Exactly. So moral of the story, listen to your intuition. I love my family doctor so much. Like, he genuinely is an amazing person. He listens. He's so open-minded. If I told him, no, I'm going to meditate instead of do chemotherapy, he would be like, great. Like, I support you. Let's do this. Like, he's an amazing guy.
That's a gift.
He really is just really open-minded. Like, he lets you have your intuition, which I love. And he's also anyways, but that's besides the point.
When you said that you weren't sure what your like gift was, your superpower,
Yeah.
I'm like, in my mind, I was thinking, MJ, you are one of the most intuitive people I know. That is your superpower. And here's a perfect example.
Yeah. Or relentless and annoying.
And a rebel as well. That's another
And a rebel,
superpower
yes.
of yours.
We are both rebellious girlies. But anyways, I think it was probably about a week before Ian and I were both tested clean. And I started puking.
A sure sign.
We have no idea how we conceived. We used condoms the whole time. It is a mystery. The dating adds up that we were having quote unquote safe sex. So I don't know what happened, but we got pregnant, and that pregnancy was the most stressful period of my life. We have a beautiful daughter. She's like amazing. She's literally a mini me in all the best and worst ways. And yeah, but that pregnancy was hard. Like, it was hard. Every time I would stop puking or not puke, I was a puker. Like, first try, I would be puking 10 times a day and at night. If you mentioned the word butter to me, I would puke. And if I ever, kind of stopped puking for a little bit, I would lose my mind. Yeah, I would lose my mind. I would cry to Ian being like, we lost this baby. Like, I don't know what to do. I need to go get a scan right now. Yeah, I don't wish it on anybody. It is the worst anxiety I've ever had in my life. Even postpartum, the worst anxiety. I had postpartum OCD. I had postpartum anxiety. Like, I couldn't go down the stairs holding her. I had to slide down on my bum. I couldn't use scissors or a knife for a year and a half. So I didn't do any cooking. I didn't open an Amazon box. I bought a bunch of stuff that still to this day, almost 4 years later, still has tags on them because I would never cut them off. Like, I was deep.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised though. It's honestly not uncommon. Like,
no,
it's not uncommon. It is like, especially if you've experienced, significant trauma, right? So tell me more about, Sunday's pregnancy. Tell me some of the things that, helped you, or do you feel like it was like a lot of white knuckling?
It was definitely a lot of white knuckling. Like, it just was. I had to work to control my mindset, because when I let my mind kind of take control, all I would do is ruminate on all the worst case scenarios. And then even in postpartum with all the intrusive thoughts, like, I was having an intrusive thought like 3 an hour, horrible things. And your brain actually doesn't know the difference between reality and your projections of reality. So if you're picturing your baby dying all the time, your body's reacting to that as if it's happening. So it wasn't good. Like, my health was really deteriorating. But during my pregnancy, it wasn't really like intrusive thoughts. It was just worrying all the time, anxiety and worrying. What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? What if this? And the best thing I found to help me was whatever could bring me into the present moment. That's it. If I could bring myself into the present moment and be like, okay, I may not have more time with this baby. That's it. That's the reality. I could lose this baby, just like I could lose my kids tomorrow, right? Like, that's a real fact. Would I rather spend my last day worrying about it, or would I rather spend my last day present with them? And that kind of mindset shift for me really changed the game because I don't want to spend my entire life or I don't want to spend my time mothering, missing out on my time mothering because of some fictional event I've created.
Yeah, that might not happen, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying yeah, I'm a big mindset girl, but I do not believe that your thoughts create your reality in that effect. You know, people always say, "Don't worry about the bad stuff, or it'll happen." Okay, I'm worried I'm gonna have $1 million. Did it just land on my desk? It didn't, right? Like we need action. We need like there's all these things that have to happen.
While we take a quick break, I wanted to introduce you to The Haven, my signature 12-week support program for mothers who are pregnant again after miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant loss. The Haven isn't just a course. It's a trauma-informed, community-centered program that includes weekly live workshops, expert guest speakers, and ongoing dual support from me, your dedicated pregnancy after loss doula, anytime you need it. You'll also receive guided journaling prompts, full access to my 13-module pregnancy after loss birth course, Reclaim, and a warm, intimate community of other PAL mothers, a place where you can be real, be held, and be reminded that you are not alone in this. Enrollment is now open at thedoulalife.ca/the/haven, with our next fall cohort reopening this September. You do not have to go through your pregnancy after loss alone. And inside the Haven, you won't. As a special offer to my podcast listeners, use code RAINBOW to get $100 off enrollment. We have, MJ and I have a mutual friend, Ashley, and this is like one of the big themes that come up in pregnancy after loss is like, if I think and I worry about this too much, it's going to happen. And our friend told us, her name's Parisa, she told us this one time where for every worry that you have, that you think you're creating into an actuality, there's probably like 10 things that you are manifesting that are way bigger than that. And they will like always overpower that tiny little worry. And I'm always like, that's true because your desire and your love and your hope for this baby to show up is so much bigger than this. Yeah, it's so much bigger than this little worry. So I love that you shared that because I know you weren't the only person that has thought that or people that have thought that, right?
No, it's so common. And you think like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm going to, no, it's not, it's not happening.
Jinx things or.
Yeah. But it's hard to make that switch. Like, how do you break out of those spirals? There's tons of ways, right? Parisa, we know, somatic therapist, like EFT for her. That was so helpful for me in pregnancy. Breathwork, obviously, I teach breathwork. I love breathwork, especially throughout pregnancy. I was doing a lot of reparenting breathwork. I was doing a lot of like emotional releasing, not the one that I have where you're breathing sympathetic. So don't go do it on my thing if you're pregnant. But I was really trying to prep myself emotionally and prep my nervous system for pregnancy and baby because I grew up from a place where I didn't want that coming forward into my new family and I wanted to create new generational glimmers. I don't want to pass generational trauma. I mean, I'm sure I will because I got my stuff, but like I want to pass generational love. And like I had to let stuff go. So I spent a lot of my breath work doing that. Like I want to be here now. I want to be surrounded by love. I want to be hopeful. I want to create my reality with love. So that's
just continually coming back into the present.
Yes, and that's how I got my period. That's how I had my babies. And that's how I managed my mental health during my pregnancy and postpartum. And it works. Like my second pregnancy, I mean, maybe it's because I already had the reality of having one baby, but my second pregnancy, I didn't have those thoughts so much. And then my postpartum was amazing.
Yeah, you rewired that part of your brain, right? We talk about this a lot too, the neuroplasticity, like how our brain literally needs to repeat the same thing over and over, and even if you don't believe it, it can change the way you think and how you process. And just the fact of, I mean, I usually hear this a lot is like, my first baby was like, oh my God, like just intense anxiety. But That's because you haven't known anything different, right? I mean, your past dictates it kind of shapes what you believe in the present, right? And if you only know that I lose babies, like you don't know anything different. So sometimes,
Yeah, it's faith. Like you have to have faith. And that's why podcasts like this are so amazing because when you listen to the stories of other people, you can be like, "Oh, maybe that's possible for me."
like if that happened to her, that's the whole
Exactly.
purpose of this podcast, right? I really do want people to go somewhere and be like, oh,
Mhm.
wow, this is
I
really
would have listened to
possible.
every single episode of this
Yeah.
podcast. And
See, I'm glad you brought this up because when I was pregnant with Vienna, I I honestly, the birth hour was my Bible. I listened to an episode every single day. But most of the women on that podcast, they got pregnant, they had a baby, they had a home birth, maybe in a field of flowers. And I remember, like with Vienna, that could have been my reality. But then after I lost her, I was like, I cannot listen to those podcasts anymore. I do not see myself in those stories. I needed a place that had stories where I saw myself and that talked about these things. Like people, some people fight tooth and nail to get to their baby, right? I mean, every woman goes through something to get to her baby, of course. But some women, like they've been on a freaking journey. Some women have been told they never could have babies, and then they have two beautiful, perfect little humans like you. So it's really important to share these type of stories. So
yeah, I agree. Like I think, if you're someone out there listening and you're holding onto hope in one hand and grief in the other, you're not alone. Like there's a lot of people juggling a lot of emotions. And I think that's been one of the best things I've ever heard was that you can feel a multitude of things at the same time. You don't have to pick a camp. And it's so freeing because it's real. Like we are going to feel a lot of different things. And I think a lot of people, when I'm holding on to my kids, I still feel grief from my first baby. I think about my first baby all the time.
mhm.
Um, and it doesn't take away from the joy I feel with them or the gratitude I feel with them. And, in reverse, the gratitude I feel for having those babies does not take away from the grief and sadness I feel for my first.
Mhm.
Like they can all exist together. And yeah, I mean, obviously I'm someone who works I'm big into emotional well-being. The studies are there. Like if you don't process your emotions, they can lead to disease, right? They can lead to illness. They can lead to, in my case, reproductive, big issues. Like I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I had cysts around both ovaries. Like it was like they were like, "This is not looking good, girl." Is there dust in there?
Mhm. And like no doctor's ever going to talk to you about, do you have any unprocessed trauma?
No, no, yeah, and that changed my life. Like I was doing, I was going deep. Like I was seeing a shaman, and I remember she was working on me, and she had her hand kind of over my stomach, and she was like, "There's so much wounding here, like around your womb." And she brought in my grandfather that had recently passed, and he healed me. 2 weeks later, I got my first period. So I would
Mm.
have ovulated like you know what? I studied osteopathy. Like I was doing surgical anatomy and physiology. Like at no point in time did I think that that was the route I needed to go. Like, oh, I need a shaman to bring my dead grandfather, my dead papa. Like, did not think that. I
No.
need to just cry. Like, I would have been like, listen, that's well and good, but we have an actual physiological problem here, right? Like, I would have been like the material world. And I was wrong.
Mm.
That was not what I needed. I worked with functional doctors, naturopaths. I took the curcumin, like it didn't do anything for me.
Hmm. The expensive curcumin
I mean, it's
too.
so expensive and all the
Yeah.
omega-3s and like all the whatever. I didn't notice anything. And I took them for long enough. It didn't do anything. So what I really needed was to like get into my nervous system and let it know, you're safe now. You're safe.
I love that. And I guess that's how, your beautiful book came to be. I would love for you to share more about that with us.
Yeah. It's called How to Cry. Uh,
Love it. I love crying.
it's good. I didn't
Hmm.
cry for a really long time. After I lost my big brother in an accident, and then after that, my dad, who had actually managed to get sober for a little bit, relapsed and committed suicide. And after those 2 losses, I just shut down. Like, I didn't even let myself feel anything. I was a ghost of a human being.
Hmm.
Um, and one day I took 2 tabs of acid, as you do in university, and I started, like, releasing. Like, I was, like,
Hmm.
crying, and I remember my friends being like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "This is the best I have felt in years." And after that moment, I just have been on this journey to allow myself to feel all of life, like feel it all. Because the more you allow yourself to go deeper into your grief or into your sadness, the more you allow yourself to feel the joy and love and the preciousness of life. Because when you shut yourself down and don't look at the quote unquote bad things or the hard things, you shut down everything. You cannot selectively block emotions. So if you want to say, I don't want to feel the grief and hurt of this, you're not going to feel the love or the joy either. You
Mhm.
have to let yourself experience the full breadth of life. Like, I think that's why we're here as humans. Like, I think we're here to experience life and learn and choose love. So it really brought me onto, a big spiritual journey. And, I ended up getting breathwork certified and, started going to school for osteopathy and then went back to breathwork. And my life has just it keeps bringing me back to the teaching that when you allow yourself to feel and release and let go, you can come back to love, come back to joy, come back to the present moment. And that's kind of, my book's interwoven with my story, but a lot of it is just the research. So, what does the research show us? It shows us that if you're someone who suppresses your emotions, you're more likely to get cancer. You're more likely to get an autoimmune disease. You're more likely to um, get heart disease, like basically all the top killers
Mhm.
in the
It's not good.
in North America. All of them. You're more likely to have mental health issues. You're more likely to have addiction, and this goes into Gabor Mate's work of like, look at all the people who have traumatic childhoods. Why do they have health issues later on in life?
Mhm.
It's because they're holding on to trauma, right? Like, and we don't come from a society that's going to tell people cry. Like, look at what's happening with young men. They are what is it, 3 times more likely to commit suicide,
Mhm.
and
It's
they
an
are also
epidemic.
the ones who are told, "Crying is weak.
Mhm.
Don't be vulnerable.
Mhm. Be a man.
Be a man."
Mhm.
Right? And now we've got this epidemic of not only them killing themselves, but also harming other people. So, the book goes into a lot of different research and studies into something called psychoneural immunology, which is how the brain and how your trauma can affect your immune system. But it's so much more than just your immune system. But that's my book. It's just been my own healing story, but with all the research behind it, because it's been something so interesting for me to look into and be like, wow, this really is, I would say, an epidemic. Like you said, it really is an epidemic, especially for women. Autoimmune,
Oh yeah,
it's
I
big.
mean, I have lupus, so yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think in the future we will come to understand that the mind and the body are way more one than we think. Like Descartes said, I I I think, therefore I am. And he's wrong. That separated the mind and the body. They're not separate. They're together. So trauma is not just, a thought you have or a memory that you have. It's something that you store down to the cellular level throughout your entire body. And if you don't work to somatically get in there and feel it and let it go, you're going to have like, things like eczema, IBS, chronic tension. Like anyway, I'm taking this on a really weird.
No, this is so good because I know that a lot of women are gonna, come and listen to this podcast who are still trying to conceive and they're not figuring out the answer. And like there is so much valuable info here.
Yeah, I
I
mean, what is the stat on infertility that is unexplained? Is it like 30 or 40%?
So one out of six couples right now in like United States of America struggle with infertility, and it's one out of four pregnancies end in loss. So it's like a huge
Yeah, it's a
statistic.
lot.
Yeah.
But some of them are explained. right? Like some people who have fertility issues, they're explained, like they know why. But a lot of people are in the dark. They have no idea why. And it's so annoying when people say it's just stress. Just go on a vacation, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just stop worrying about it. But at the
Like,
same
okay,
time, I do have a lot of friends where the moment they sign up for IVF, they conceive. Why did that happen?
maybe I honestly, it's a really good question, but I do think like a lot of people find peace in like doing something different, right? They're like, oh, I'm being taken care of now.
I just don't
Oh,
have to worry about it anymore. I think
yeah.
like it is. I, I had the doctor sit me down and say, you're too stressed out. Like, try relaxing.
Like, you don't think I want to be relaxed?
Exactly. But
Hmm.
then when I started working on my nervous system, I was like, oh, that, So I think I wouldn't say it's like you're too stressed out. I would just say that there's the possibility that your nervous system is stuck in a state which is not conducive to reproducing.
Yeah. I mean, safety and oxytocin are the two biggest things that we need to get pregnant and to carry pregnancy and to give birth. And like safety really is the most important. And if your body isn't feeling safe, if you're constantly in fight or flight or freeze, fawn,
Yeah.
you're signaling, it's not time. You're
Yeah.
not ready, right?
Yeah.
And
And it's also going to be like, it's more than just reproducing. I think it's, I'm going to go on a feminist rant right now, but
let's hear it.
the entire world is built by men for men, not in an evil way, right? They're just humans they have more decisions, more power, and they decide, how does the work week go? How do we structure basically everything? They
Mm-hmm.
design all the buildings, they design all the cars, right? We're more
Mm-hmm.
likely to die in a car accident because the cars are designed by men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because
Well,
they're
and they're
evil.
usually driving and they're probably gonna protect themselves.
Exactly. Yes. Um, but it's not because they're mean. It's just because they have their own life experience and they don't know what it's like to be a woman. So they're not considering, right? Just like if I were to design the world, I probably wouldn't know what my husband would need or what it would be ideal for him. I've never been based off a testosterone cycle. So I would just say it's also a revolution. Because when you can carve out a life that's good for your nervous system, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
look really different than how the government wants you to be or how the world is structured for men. And I think that's really good. Like, we need different possibilities of being able to live and work that are more conducive to women and our nervous systems. Like, we have a different nervous system. We are tend and befriend. So we always learn fight, flight, freeze. That's men. Women are tend and befriend because when your nervous system goes into that state, it's going to interact with the predominant hormone in your body. For men, it's going to interact with testosterone. For us, it's going to interact with oxytocin. That's why women will tend to be more peacemakers in a stressful situation. They're going to tend to the other people and tend to the emotions. Not always, right? We're all biologically unique. I'm not trying to say that
I
every
mean, but
sex is
most women are, you know, brought up to be the good girl, to take
yeah,
care of everyone,
yes.
right? That's
And
inherent almost in us.
yes. And, maybe some of it's conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
But the way our nervous system, when we get into an aroused state, interacts with oxytocin, we're going to start making alliances. We're going to start gossiping, not in a bad way. I think gossiping is amazing. It's the reason why Homo sapiens have done so well. It's good. Um, Not in a mean way, obviously, but our tendon befriend nervous system is something that shows us that we need to be treating ourselves differently than how the world shows us. So if you're not someone who thrives in a 9 to 5 and you're a woman, that makes a lot of sense because for men, it's based off of their testosterone. It's high in the morning and then it dips down. And by 5 o'clock, they're tired and they're ready to kind of
They're
hunker
starting
in and have
over.
a
Yeah.
cozy. Yeah. But for us, like, luteal, follicular, like it's different. Every month is different. So if women design the world, you would have a month where you didn't have any meetings. You would have a month where you're just at home, like having a rest. Um, so I would just say, I'm just bringing it to a very strange place of just saying that, like, The world is not designed for our nervous systems. And I don't know what it means to revolt against that. But for me, it looked like a lot of saying no to things that didn't make me feel good and
Mm-hmm.
really treating myself as if someone who deserved rest,
Mm-hmm.
like really treating myself and not.
Well, tend and befriend yourself, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And really like not valuing your productivity. That's not our value.
I was just gonna say it's so hard, I think too, like when you're on this trying to conceive journey and people are telling you to be like less stressed and try to relax, and you're like, trying to conceive is inherently a stressful experience, right? Especially if you have experienced loss or people have told you these stories where you're not going to be a mother, and that is like, devastation, right? So, and then you have, like you said, the world kind of built to go against what is best. And it really does take some like radical rebellion.
The question I would pose to anyone who's in this place of trying to conceive, do you like your partner? Do you feel safe with them? Do
That's
you
a big
like your
one.
job? Do you feel safe in your job? Do you like your friends? Do you feel safe with your friends? I think the process of going from maiden to mother is a process of really reconstructing your entire life. Like I learned that every mental problem I had throughout pregnancy and postpartum was because I was clinging to the old me. And you have to let the old you go. Like it's a time where your brain literally changes.
It's a new
A
identity.
new identity and
Oh
you get to
yeah.
create it. And like I dropped out of school. I was about to graduate osteopathy college. It's a great career. I was passionate about it, but it stressed me out. And I was like, I can't do this. Yeah, I had to redesign my life, like
Mm-hmm.
big time. Basically, I just made a list of like, what are the things that are out of alignment because they are stopping me from having my dream life. Like, I want matching horses with my daughter. Right now, I'm shopping on Facebook. That's where people sell horses. It's weird. All the Facebook groups for matching horses with my daughter, right? So I think the thing that I would just leave anyone with is that like you can create your reality, but you have to be ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
Like ruthless in the sense that you have to hold on to that vision and hold the vision.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to like be ruthless enough to say no to things. If you've got a friend group where it's just like a drag to hang out with them, they don't seem supportive, like you have to let them go. It's not mean. It's not mean to find a place where you feel loved and supported.
You deserve to feel safe all the time.
Exactly.
Life's too short. And of course, buy MJ's book because
And of
it'll
course,
show
my
you.
book.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it'll show you how to do all of those things.
It's not a manifesting book, but it will definitely teach you that if you suppress your emotions, it's not the vibe. And we, there's tons of somatic exercises in there and teaches you what breathwork techniques to do so that you can access those emotions and feel them and let them go.
Yeah, and totally. Again, it's all coming back to that present always too, right? Especially in pregnancy after loss. I think like that book alone would be just so supportive because what's the first thing that we do when we have anxiety? We're thinking about the future, right? So getting back into your body constantly is a huge thing. We talk a lot about, somatic therapy in the Haven, and breathwork is one huge area that we focus on. And one of those reasons is because of MJ and being able to watch her and be so inspired and see, how that really does and can show up in someone's life. And
Yeah, we can put a
yeah,
link in the bio to, I can gift everybody like a month access to our app. We have a pregnancy breathwork course in there. It's not geared towards, pregnancy after loss, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. It's more of what I
yeah.
was doing, like of reparenting myself and, trying to figure out my identity from maiden to mother. A lot of like nice breathworks and somatic exercises to connect with your spirit babies, connect with your baby now, which is so powerful.
I love that. We'll definitely have to include that in the show notes because I'm sure so many women would love that kind of care. Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful spot to end it, MJ. And I just want to thank you for sharing your wisdom and your story and your heart. I know so many women are going to listen to this and take away a lot of juicy, actionable stuff that they can do. And I am really excited to release this one, and always such a pleasure chatting with you. And I will text you in 3 minutes in our group chat.
Thanks for having me.
A big thank you to MJ for sharing with us today. Her story is such a powerful reminder that healing is not about erasing the hard parts. It's about creating space for them to exist alongside that joy and that hope. If her words and this episode resonated with you today, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, you can find all the links we mentioned below in the show notes, including MJ's gift of a free month inside the Being Method app with beautiful breathwork and somatic practices to support you wherever you are in your journey. Until next time, take care of your heart. Your baby is never forgotten, and neither are you. If you enjoyed today's episode and you are looking to feel a little less alone in life after loss, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can continue hearing real, honest stories from mothers who've walked this path too, and to stay up to date with all future episodes of The Rainbow Connection. If you're looking to connect more, Instagram is where I hang out most, so come and join me in a beautiful community of lost moms for PAL-specific birth education, real-life grief talk, and deep solidarity. You can find me at the.doula.life. And don't forget to check out today's show notes for any resources mentioned in this episode, or head to thedoulalife.ca/podcast for more. And remember, you are never alone. I'll see you in the next episode.